Welcome back to another episode of Bulletproof Mindset, and you guessed it, I have decided that this is Scotland's #1 health, fitness and entertainment podcast. If I don't believe it, then who will? Right, in today's episode, we are answering the 10 most common questions asked on Google around health and fitness, UK edition. So this is UK searches only, and I'm actually quite surprised what made it to the top 3. So I am answering this from a coach's perspective. I'm going over the Google answer and how sometimes it can be a bit bullshit. Before I got into today's episode, I did actually look at just what was some of the most common questions that are just asked to Google in general. Some of them are a bit worrying generally worrying for humanity. Now, before we get into today's episode is sponsored by Bulletproof Studios. You're like, wasn't this Bulletproof Mindset? Bulletproof Studios is a podcast studio hire that you can hire out for your content creation, for your own podcast. And if you're a fitness coach or online coach, then you can also hire the gym environment out there to meet up with your clients, to train with your clients. All of that can be done. If you're interested in that, check the website that we have now launched below, and my lovely wife will get in touch and we can get you booked in and take it from there. One other thing, if you're new around here, I release episodes every Monday and Thursday at 6 a.m. Thursday tends to be a guest episode and Monday tends to be a bit of fitness, a bit of fun, and sometimes a wee bit more serious on a deep dive episode. So if you are new around here and you like today's episode, or you've been listening but you haven't already rated the show, that is the best way you can support. So if you would be up for that, consider leaving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and try to reach 200, and I'm at 165, so got a little bit to go. I'm on the road to hitting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so if you have a YouTube account and you watch or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, head over, subscribe to the show at Bulletproof Mindset. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Okay, so I'm literally just going off the rip here. I have decided that today's episode is going to be about the 10 most asked questions on Google around fitness and health, but I went off on a little bit of a sidetrack. Now, one of the searches that's came up here is the 100 just generally, like general questions, the 100 most asked questions on Google as of 2024. And I was looking through the list, and some of them I'm genuinely worried for humanity that this is a majority of people searching these terms on a monthly basis, bear in mind. So right now, take a guess, like in your head, what would be the most searched term? Now, obviously, over the course of the year, the trending topics will overpower this, but on average, the most searched term is, what is my IP address? That is baffling. The second is, what to watch? The third, how many weeks is in a year? 500,000 people every single month are searching that. How many days is it until Christmas? Again, that's quite frightening. Now, side note, if you're someone that is constantly counting down the days to Christmas in like January, February, March, like few screws loose. I get Christmas can be most people's favourite time of the year, but let's be honest, it's only acceptable to start talking about Christmas from, in my opinion, October onwards, because my birthday is at the end of September. After that, yeah, cool, let's fire on with it, but nah. Somebody's actually Googled, I say someone, 400,000 people have Googled what time it is. I wonder if it's what time it is in X place. How many ounces are in a gallon, how to screenshot on Mac, how many ounces are in a cup, how to screenshot on Windows, and who won the Super Bowl. See, this was the top 10 list. And I was scrolling through this and I was just laughing at myself. Like, when is Mother's Day? Yep, I like that one. That's something I have Googled. What is Temu is on the rise. And then kind of looking through this. Weirdly enough, the Taylor Swift effect, as Gillian likes to remind me, is 28, 200,000 people. How old is Taylor Swift? So yeah, this kind of brought me on to, I thought it would be fun to actually answer the most common questions asked around health and fitness, or the most common questions Googled on health and fitness. And I've kind of shortlisted it, and we can go into that in a little sec. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried for humanity, because like, I understand like who started racism, like a genuine question in that. But see, when someone is genuinely asking what day it is today, gets a bit worrying. Now, it's just came into my head. Maybe that's because every day is associated with a phrase. So, like Men's Mental Health Day, or the Steak and Blowjob Day, or it's Girlfriend Day, Valentine's Day, all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's what's been asked there. But yeah, a bit worrying if you have to ask what time it is, what day is it, how many days are, how many hours are in a day. All these things are in the top 10. So, bit of fun. And it just goes to show how popular TikTok can be, Twitter as well. But search 89th on this list. Over 100,000 people every single month have been searching this as of 2024. What does Pookie mean? Obviously the trending, the viral video of Pookie Bear and the weird couple of what that looks like is made its way into the top 100 Google searches. Now I like this one. Where is my refund? Just generally Googling, where is my refund? Over 110,000 people are asking that. Where is my refund? What are you talking about, bro? Like, why is that a search term? But the last one, and we'll move on to the fitness ones after this, is gaslighting. So I'd never heard the word gaslighting being used until Gillian brought it up in an argument saying that I was gaslighting her. And weirdly enough, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you talk about, gaslighting? And I know she got it from a show, which is it? It's not Love is Blind. It's, what's it called? It's like the Australian Love is Blind. Is it Love is Blind? Married at First Sight. That's what it's called. So I know it's from that show, Married at First Sight, because you had this panel of 3 relationship therapists, and they're diving into what these couples are doing. And it gets to this toxic couple. They always obviously bring in a toxic couple into the show for entertainment purposes. And they were sitting behind the camera like, yeah, he is just gaslighting her. And that was the first time I heard it. And then the second time I heard it was when me and Gillian were in a bit of an argument. She was like, you're gaslighting me. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, gaslighting? But gaslighting is on the rise, ladies and gentlemen. And for sure, men are gaslighting women more and more. I think we love a challenge, don't we? We love to pick a fight. We love to cause an argument, because it's never the women, is it? It's never the women. So that's enough of that. Let's go into the 10 most Googled fitness questions, and I'll give you some expert advice. I'll give you a coach's opinion and coaches how I would answer some of these questions. And I'm going to do this in reverse order. So number 10 on the list is, how can I build an exercise plan? Now, before we jump into this, if I'm being honest, every single one of these questions I'll probably do a deeper dive into. But for today, for the purpose of today's episode, I'll give a quick fire answer to that. And I'll say quick, let's kind of put that in inverted commas, because we know I like to ramble. We know I can go off on a tangent. That's what podcasting is about, and that's what we will do in today's episode. So first one, last one, 10th one. How can I build an exercise plan? Very, very simple. Write down a structure, write down the number of, I guess let's reverse engineer this. See, I'm already going off on a tangent. Start with how many days a week you want to train, what type of exercises you want to include, how many sets you're going to do, how many reps you're going to do, and just write it all on a piece of paper. From there, plan out. So let's take an example. You're going to say, I can work out 2 days a week. Okay, day 1, day 2, workout day 1, workout day 2, upper, lower. I don't know, like just pick a theme of what it's going to be. Is it going to be powerlifting? Is it going to be bodybuilding style? Most likely it's going to be around some sort of appearance. And it's as simple as that. Like exercise, like how to build an exercise plan is just writing something on a piece of paper, sticking to that for a period of time. You would have heard me a number of times in the show say that sticking to it for at least between 4 and 6 weeks before you make any changes. And if you're looking for some help on what changes to make, go back to the progressive overload. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to link it up here. Not sure how I do that, but it'll be linked to this video somewhere, or there'll be a link in the show notes to that. But progressively overloading is the key to seeing progress when it comes to your health and fitness goals. But ultimately, the best plan in the world is the one that you can follow consistently. So be realistic with what you're going to do. And yeah, simple as that. Write down a structure, follow that structure, and that's as simple as we can get with that one. Fun fact, 5,000 people were searching that term at the end of 2023. So if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, if you're a lifter, hopefully that answers that question. Okay, number ninth. Sounds like Mike Tyson. Number ninth. Why does that sound so weird? Ninth. Yes, I'm not. It's like I'm trying to say nines. The ninth the ninth most popular search term on Google around fitness is, what should I eat before and after a workout? And I like this question because I don't know if we necessarily answered it on the show. In fact, we might have. And what I like with this is the most common advice. Let me cover this off. Mostly anything before a workout is beneficial. Ideally, you want light carbs-based meal to give you slow energy release. You don't want a heavy meal. This can make you vomit. Food timing is key when eating beforehand. After your workout, you should opt for a protein-dense meal from chicken, meat, or tofu to allow the body to absorb this nutrient and help rebuild the damage to the muscle cells. So if I'm being honest, it's a little bit dated, and it's every single answer I'm going to give most likely is going to be dependent on your situation. But I do want to give some generic advice. Now, what to eat before a workout? I know clients who don't eat anything because they train first thing in the morning, and I know clients who specifically have something. See, to put it simply, they're actually on the money here. Nice fast-acting carbs. Something along the lines of a couple of bananas, a banana, some whatever you know you can digest well, a good hour to 2 hours. For me, I actually eat very close to my workouts. I get up first thing in the morning. I have 4 eggs. In fact, this morning I had 6 eggs and 3 bits of bacon. I had 0 carbs. I had a coffee. And within the 45 minutes to an hour mark, I was getting into my workout. Now, I've done that for so many years, and I played about this. When I changed to working out in the morning, I didn't used to eat, but I found that if I didn't eat in the morning, I was behind on the calories that I was looking to consume. I was behind on my protein goals. So for me personally, because I was going to a corporate job, I was going to the workplace environment, and I couldn't take eggs and bacon with me. I couldn't cook that at work. I ended up just eating it in the morning to actually hit my nutrient numbers for the day. So that might be why you want to eat first thing in the morning. It depends when you're working out. It depends the time of day you're working out. And there's no right or wrong with it. Something that you know you can digest well. I know eggs and bacon first thing in the morning. I don't feel too sluggish after it. I don't feel stuffed. So find something for you. If it's not something you've tried before, try a banana before the workout. And yeah, you probably realise that how that carb, how that energy source can feel. And when it comes after the workout, this has been dispelled, debunked, time and time again, that the quote-unquote anabolic window, that you need to have protein in a certain amount of time. There is some merit to it, but for most of us who are not athletes, who are not have to be so meticulous about our approach because we're so reliant on performance, because we're playing a sport the next day, it generally doesn't matter. As long as we get the total amount of calories in on a daily basis, we will hit the goals that you're trying to achieve. So if you're in a calorie deficit and you're looking to get fat loss, then as long as you hit your calorie deficit for that day, it doesn't matter when you have your carbs, your fats, your protein. It is how you respond to it. And the same goes for protein intake. So it doesn't matter if you have your protein backloaded straight after a workout. It's what can you digest, what do you feel good with, and more importantly, what can you fit within your lifestyle. Okay, the seventh most popular search around fitness is, what happens if your heart rate is too high during exercise? 12,000 people in the UK every single month over the last 12 months were searching this. So quite a concern. 120,000, not 12,000. Earlier on, I meant to say 50,000, not, if that makes sense, not 5,000. 5,000 ain't a lot of people, is it? So let's see here, let's kind of break this down. What happens if your heart rate is too high during exercise? Too high to who, right? So 160 beats per minute for me is a quote-unquote high heart rate, but a manageable one at that. Over 200 beats per minute for most of us is on the brink of death. That is not good. And off the back of that, high heart rate, like feeling lightheaded, feeling dizzy, that's really where the symptoms that you're looking for. So People can be quite scared of getting their heart rate high because they may have high blood pressure or they've had heart conditions in the past. So again, this is one of these, it's very person dependent. I would assess what it is that you're used to. So Garmin's, Apple Watches, Fitbits, whatever you're using to monitor your heart rate, where has high been for you before? So if you go out a walk and that goes up to 130 beats per minute, then I would say that is a high heart rate for you. As you get better at exercising, as you get better lifting weights, whatever it is that you're doing, your heart rate should get more efficient on that activity. So let's kind of take this approach that you've never really done this before, right? You've never really tracked your heart rate. I would go out a 10-minute walk and I would measure your heart rate. I would then go out a 15-minute walk the next day, measure your heart rate. 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. Over the course of the week, you'll have an average heart rate of where you're at. Now, let's say the 10-minute walk compared to the 30-minute walk, there is 10 beats per minute difference. So the 10-minute walk, it was 130, and the 30-minute walk, it kind of averaged about 145 to 150. Then I would actually expose you from a walking perspective. If you're doing a run or crazy bout of endurance, I'd be very cautious from that point of view, especially if you've not done any of that before. That's why so many people find it difficult to run. It's like, let's not run before we can walk, you know what I mean? So if you never walked for 30 minutes, let's not run for 30 minutes. Let's get exposure in that time, first of all. So that's how I would take that approach. Now, what I like about lifting weights is when you lift weights, your heart rate spikes and it has the ability to come down. So taking good rest periods, taking a good 2-minute rest periods between every single exercise, and working up a bit of exposure around what is a high heart rate. That's really what you need to answer first of all. The NHS here recommends completing 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise where your heart rate is elevated into what's called zone 2, and for most people that's over 120 beats per minute. So again, the advice there can be quite generic. I like the approach of let's get you exposed to it, let's get you understanding what that feeling feels like and start to work on for there. So back to the example, if you're walking 20 minutes a day and you feel sick after that 20 minutes, then let's look at your pace and let's scale back on that. Let's work within a 15-minute window. Again, if you're doing 5 reps of an exercise and you feel sick afterwards, it's like going, right, how much is the load? What's happening here? Is there anything we can substitute this and make it a regression before we progress on this exercise? So it can be very person dependent, as every single answer can be, but hopefully that gets you to think about it a little bit different. Okay, the 6th most Googled fitness question is, what exercises are best for building muscle? 150,000 people every single month in the UK search this, and it's a pretty good question to ask. So what are the best exercises? Squats, deadlifts, overhead press, rows. That is it. Let's move on to the next question. I'm joking. So all the bodybuilders out there are getting fucking outraged that no, the studies say that the biased seated lat pull down in this isolated position, this builds the most amount of muscle, blah 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 blah. Everybody's right. This is I hate to say it, every single exercise you will have the ability to build muscle on it. Now, how do you build muscle? There has to be a stimulus for it. So you have to break down the tissue to a certain extent where the repair and the damage that you've created that your body wants to build and rebuild on top of that. So you build new tissue. So that is the stimulus, and you also have to nutritionally be feeding yourself, right? It's as simple as that. So this can be done with cable seated rows, and it can also be done with deadlifts. What is the best exercise to do? I would make an argument you're better to do compounds. But if there's a specific area that you're looking to place focus on, then that's where you might want to go down the rabbit hole of isolation work. Now, as a caveat, I always wanted big arms. I would say that here, they ain't bad, right? And I put a lot of focus into arm days. I think, like most of us, when you're younger, you think, oh, I like the aesthetic of that person, and I like their shoulders, I like their arms. It's an attractive point from a male point of view. So I would hit shoulders, I would hit arms. I actually seen my arms grow more when I used to do more compound stuff because I avoided it for so long. But I think that's why I seen the progress for it. And an example was I would do 5-6 sets or 5-6 different exercises for my arms, and then I moved to this full body training and I started doing pull-ups. And while I was doing these supinated pull-ups, I actually seen my biceps I seen physical muscle gain to that part of my body along with other parts. So I would say go down a compound route first. That is the best place to start because you're getting more bang for your buck. If you take an approach where you hit chest or you hit upper, upper ain't a bad strategy either, but let's say you hit the push-pull legs, you're looking to try and hit anywhere above 8 good solid sets per muscle group to see the muscle growth, right? And within that, there has to be a certain level of intensity, and within that, there has to be an appropriate progressive overload. This is why I want to do a deep dive in each one of these, because I could talk for the next hour going into specific detail on what you could do with this, but generally you want to have the signal there and you want to be feeding yourself appropriately. You want a good amount of protein. In short, there's a mechanism that goes on in our body where our body will go through what's called protein synthesis, and we need to nutritionally support that by feeding our body with the adequate amounts of protein. Nice and simple. 1 gram of protein per pound of body mass, or 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, right? So it's that simple. And with that and the good stimulus along there, your body will build muscle. Now, don't get so caught up on rep ranges here, because all rep ranges to an extent will build muscle. Like I said earlier in the episode, phase it, stick to it for 6 weeks, then change it, okay? Don't change it up every week. Pick a rep range, so let's say you pick 3 to 5, progress the weight through that. Every time you hit 5 reps, put the weight up, focus on technique, have good control, and do that for 6 weeks. Once you've done it for 4 to 6 weeks, change it up, move the rep range from 6 to 10, or move the rep range from 8 to 12, 12 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25. Most research out there going above 25, there doesn't seem to be much merit on it. However, I could always make the argument for it that it might be the best thing for you if you've been hammering the gym so much. I would prefer that you use a band if that's all you've got access to. There's still ways of kind of working the muscle, but if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, use compounds, use those rep ranges, pick one. Doesn't matter which one you pick with, they all do the same job if applied correctly, and you will see results from that. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? You know what? It's actually more crazy. 150,000 people searching this term on a monthly basis, right? And there could be a number of reasons why, but see, when you think about it, I know not everybody's fucking adults and have access to Google, but in the UK, what have we got? 26 million people. This has blown my mind. I don't know why. Why do I think it's 26 million? So there is roughly about 67 million people in the UK as of 2023. So it's quite crazy to think when you think we have a population in the UK of almost 68 million people, and 100,000 people are searching terms along the lines of fitness-related questions. Quite baffling. We needed more people to be working out, but that's why we have this podcast. That's why you are here. You are going to be the inspiration that helps others, and I'm going to hopefully help guide you through that. Right. Anyway, on to the next one. So that was number 5. No, it wasn't. That was number 4. That was that was number 6. The 6th most popular search term on a monthly basis. Okay, 5. How much exercise do I need to do per week to see results? 170,000 people are searching this on a monthly basis in the UK. And yeah, let's get into that one. So how many days should you be working out? Is it 7? Is it 5? Is it the traditional 6 day a week, push-pull legs, boom. Right. There's generic advice here. I said it earlier on, actually. NHS recommendations. Recommendations at the end of the day are recommendations on a generic population. But let's be honest, most people should be moving their bodies every single day. In fact, every single person should be moving their bodies every single day. At least, research will point to at least over 7,000 steps, right? That can dramatically decrease your all-cause of mortality, which simply put means you will live longer. You'll have a better quality of life just by walking 7,000 steps, at least 7,000 steps every single day. That as well, if you can't hit the 7,000 steps, they're actually pointing to just standing up every hour for as little as 90 seconds can also decrease your chances of falling when you're older and living a longer, more quality of life. So those two things is something that should be a daily thing. Now, on top of that, strength training, resistance training, getting into the gym is the argument that I believe that every single person on this planet should be doing. How often should we be doing is where it can be person dependent. So I would love to see most people in the gym at least 2 days a week. If you can get it 1 day a week, then cool. If you can get it 3 days a week, even better, right? There's generally no right or wrong. I believe a good structure to most people's programs should be full body to start with. And as they build confidence, as they build an obsession with it, as they build a love towards it, then play about with different splits, play about with different trainings like high rocks, CrossFit classes, running, whatever it may be. But in fact, not running, because that's not resistance training, that is a separate training. But most people, a good resistance training program at least 2 days a week. And then on top of that, that's where you can have a bit of fun with the cardio side of things. What is the NHS say something along the lines of, 150 minutes per week, I think is a generic guidance. 150 minutes of moderate intensity. Now, in all honesty, that can fall into the category of resistance training. You don't have to, but see a good 1 or 2 days a week of getting that heart rate up above the normal walking pace. So let's say you walk and your heart rate sits around 100 beats per minute to 120. Doing something for at least 30 minutes within that week that gets your heart rate above 120 beats. So that's that zone 2 cardio that we're referring to earlier. It can be a walk, it can be a hike, it can be a bike ride, it can be a row, it can be whatever you can. It can be, it could be sex. It generally could. So getting your heart rate up is so crucial for longevity, along with keeping our body strong, keeping our body healthy, keeping it resilient to falls, keeping our joints good, keeping our bones healthy. We need resistance training as well. And combining the two, boom, you have a recipe for strength and longevity, right? Right, the fourth, we're almost in the top 3, but we're into top 5. The fourth most popular Google search around fitness is, can I lose weight without exercising? 250,000 people search this on a monthly basis in the UK. Crazy. In short, yes, you can. Now, I'll dive into it a little bit, but this is actually an episode I really want to do. So I'll go into more detail on this because it's something that so many people do every single year. Think of all the diet fads that you are aware of. Think of Weight Watchers, Slimming World. Think of the less popular diets. You think of the 5-2. Like, there's so many out there. And although they recommend being active, being fit, doing something exercisey, it's all focused on the food that you consume. And our bodies can lose weight. More importantly, lose body fat by just changing your nutrition up. And it's that simple. That is the metabolism's response to eating less food, being in what's called a calorie deficit. Consuming less calories than what you're used to, your body will use the fat stores, it will use the fat on you, and it'll get rid of that. But it also will get rid of muscle, right? So hear me out in this one. Now, I probably should have thought through in my head what I'm trying to say here, but let's say your body fat percentage is 30%, right? So you are 30% of your body is body fat. Now, most people want to reduce that, but the way body fat is measured is you've got your organs, whatever that weighs, and you have your muscle mass density, okay? If you lose 10 pounds of muscle and you lose 10 pounds of fat, yes, you have lost weight, but you haven't necessarily made too much of an impact on your body fat percentage. Some people actually end up losing too much muscle and not much fat at all. And what they end up being is fatter. Like from a BMI perspective, from a body fat percentage, you end up having a higher body fat percentage, although they've lost a ton of weight. That's where it gets crazy. And that happens way more if there's no exercise involved whatsoever. And it happens because our bodies are efficient. I've said this so many times on the podcast, but put it in a nutshell, your body will adapt to whatever it is that you're doing. So initial response is, oh my God, we don't have as much fuel in our body, so we need to use and utilize the fuel that we have. This stored fat gets used as fuel. But then it starts going, we've actually not had that fuel that we used to once have. Maybe this is the new norm. Our bodies are great at adapting, and what it will recognize is, we're not getting the fuel that we once used to get. Maybe this is the new norm. So what does it do? It gets more efficient of using the less calories that you're consuming. So you move from 2,000 calories or just sporadically eating above 2,000 calories, and you get regimented and strict on eating 1,500 calories. Your body will lose fat initially, but then it plateaus, it flattens out. And with those 1,500 calories that you're consuming, your body gets efficient in using that and utilising it. So what happens? You don't have as much energy. You don't feel like you've got enough get up and go attitude. So you see other areas of your life starting to not be as good as they once were, because we forget that this whole thing we call food is the fuel for the machine that we call our bodies. So hopefully that gives you a view on that. Yes, in short, you can do it, but I wouldn't say it's the best approach. Now, look here. You might have people around you, people in your family that here for genuine health reasons, they need to be losing weight. And an approach that can kickstart them is eating less foods or eating less calories. Now, there is a strategy in there where you could eat a higher amount of protein, and that will keep you satiated for longer. So meaning that you don't want to eat as much food, and that can help with that process. That is a healthy way of approaching it. But there's probably a deeper root, let's be honest. If you are not exercising and food is kind of a coping mechanism, then there's something deeper to potentially work on. And I can understand why people may not want to exercise. That might be the approach where, yes, you could get a coach and help you with this, but therapy might be something that you want to pursue on that front as well. Okay, here we go. Top 3. Actually, could not believe that this wasn't the first one, but I think this podcast is also helping amongst other peers in my space that this isn't as sexy a message as it once was. Now, don't get me wrong, we're still in the top 3. This is the third most searched thing in the UK around fitness, and that is, how do I get a six-pack? 360,000 people on a monthly basis will search this. Boy, shall we get a bit controversial with this one? So, let's be honest. How to get a six-pack kind of follows suit from some of the previous questions. Very person-dependent, very situation-dependent. Can everyone get one? Absolutely. As someone who has a six-pack, who has had a more defined six-pack and has coached hundreds of clients who haven't necessarily got a six-pack or had a six-pack in the first place, I can confidently say that every single person has the ability to get one. But is it something that we should all seek after? Honestly, I feel like a lot of people are searching this because they think it's going to help them be more happy. They're going to be happy with themselves. They're going to get all this attention. But it doesn't necessarily do that. So much fixation around how we look as human beings. That's why plastic surgery is on the rise. That is why there's so much filler, Botox, all these various different things. Now, I would put makeup and all this sort of stuff. That's where, to be honest, like, there is a creative side to that, and I completely understand that. And you can make the same argument for sculpting and shaping your body, absolutely. But it can get very toxic. But at the same time, it can also add some positive traits to that. Again, this is a very interesting deep dive episode that we can get into, but putting all that to one side, how would you go about getting a six-pack? Well, there's 2 approaches I have seen that work best. There is one approach which is actually training the muscle. The bigger that muscle is, the more it's going to show through a higher body fat percentage, let's be honest. So training it would be, I like to do isometric holds, so that would be your planks, your kind of static variations of L-sit, V-sit, whatever you want to call it, hold variations on strengthening your inner part of your core, right? Really tightening up that area. We have a muscle in our body called the transverse abdominis. It kind of wraps from our lower back, wraps all the way around. And amongst a few other muscles within there, that helps our body kind of expand and tighten up. Now, I do an exercise with every single one of my clients called the vacuums. And I kid you not, in the short space of 3-4 weeks, they notice massive differences in their waist. Now, they haven't magically just gotten skinnier. We've helped with their posture. So their posture has gotten tighter. And guys, you'll know this for sure. You're on holiday, you catch yourself in the mirror and you're like, and you breathe in, you suck in. But imagine being able to just automatically be on default and have that as your stance every single day. That's what an exercise like vacuums, planks, and tightening up that muscle can do. So isometric holds. Then I would have a bit of rotation stuff. So you see people do Russian twists. I would do them a wee bit slower and controlled because that's something that gets butchered. I would do cable chops. So anything that requires rotation. You can combine this with some other exercises and make it more of a fundamental compound movement. And the last one is the sort of extension and contraction of the main part of your abs, and that would be like leg raises. It would be an actual proper sit up. It would be a cable crunch. It would be the yoga ball sit ups or the yoga ball crunches. I think they're fantastic, but something that gets your spine and your rib cage to open up and then gets it to crunch forward. That's how you train for it. Like any other muscle, you need to create the stimulus. You need to have the nutrition element there where you're feeding the right amount of protein to gain muscle on it. You've then got the fat that sits around it, and we all have body fat, and that's why there is an argument that every single person has abs. We all have muscles. It's like saying, oh, I wish I could have bicep muscles. Everyone has bicep muscles. They just show the less body fat percentage you are, and this is where it can be here. Everyone can get super lean, but the trade-off is where does it become healthy and where does it become unhealthy? And that's where, depending on your relationship, your situation, your life stresses, so many more things can go into that. So let's look at this. We're building the muscle. Building muscle and losing body fat. Oh, it's one of those fucking hard things that you can't really do both. If you're a seasoned veteran, you can get away with some strategies, but you have to pick and choose your fight here. So I would pick a 12-week structure of building muscle, building the core out, building other areas of your body. Then after the 12 weeks, that's when you start to diet, and that's when you start to create a calorie deficit because we want to lose body fat. And as we lose body fat, that muscle, the six-pack that you're looking for will start to show. Now, but depending on how much body fat you're holding, you might have to cycle this for maybe 6 months. You may have to do it for a year. You may have to do it for 3, 4, 5 years to get the required result. But here, if it's a goal you've got in mind, just know that that's something that you just got a longer horizon and where you need it to be. I get we all want things now, but enjoy the journey, man. Like, the man who loves the journey will walk further than the man who loves the destination. And that's what it's all about. That's what you need to try and remind yourself with. So here, if you hate training abs, there's an argument that we should all do some form of ab training, but that can be done through squats. It can be done through other compound movements, and that's cool. But if you hate training them, then here, you ain't going to get a six-pack as much as the guy who loves it and really wants that, who really loves it and loves training that way. But yeah, we've all got the ability to do it. Do we need to? Yeah, I think there's a part to play on social media that why so many people want it. It seems like a very vain target, but somebody who's got them does feel good to have them, I must admit. But it's not just the abs themselves, it's the strength component. I love how I feel, and because I feel great to the outsider looking in, I look great, and it's my version of me. You know what? I know what I've looked like in the past, and here, I look fucking great now. And that's really what it's about. There's a psychology part to this. That's why we'll dive deeper into it in another episode. Okay, what do you think? Second last one. So number 2. And of course, it comes to weight loss again. Did I say how many people searched that last one? Like almost 400,000 people on a monthly basis in the UK are searching, how do I get a six-pack? That is wild, wild. So number 2. 450,000 people. What are the best foods for weight loss? Okay, another tricky one to answer, and if you Google this one, you're hit with 100 different responses. So it's no wonder people get lost in the weeds with this. What are the best foods? You know what, I'm actually thinking of doing a challenge for the next 60 days and trying to see how much weight I can lose while eating Nutella sandwiches. I just don't know if I want to put myself through that. I fucking love Nutella, as I'm sure most of us do. But to do that as a challenge, I've seen it done before where people eat McDonald's every day and yada, yada, yada. But I just purely, all I have is bread and Nutella. Can I lose weight in that? I don't know if I want to put my body through losing the muscle, but I think it'll be quite an insightful thing to do. So, what are the best foods for weight loss? I'm going to be very biased in what I see through training over 300 odd clients now, and yes, there isn't one food that we can pick, but I can pick a blend of foods what make the biggest difference. Now, again, back to this, there's no right or wrong foods with this. Sometimes the pizza and the beer can be the best thing for you because it's a social occasion. Food is, it's a tricky one, but to keep it simply, the less processed the food is, the better it's going to be for you. If you can stick to that for 80% of the time that you're eating food, then you're winning, right? You're going to achieve weight loss. You're going to achieve, more importantly, fat loss. It's interesting. Everything's about weight, but we don't necessarily just want to lose weight. We want to lose fat, right? We don't want to lose muscle unless you're the anomaly here. And I don't know why you'd be watching this podcast, but you might be where you've got too much muscle and you need to lose size. Then, yeah, you just hammer the Nutella and bread diet. We can do that together, right? That's why there you go. That's why I need to do the challenge, because I've got too much muscle. But anyway, back to this. 80% of the time, eat minimally processed foods, which would be things like eggs, chicken, meat, like something that doesn't require a whole lot of processed. Protein bars. If you look at the back of a label and you see a ton of ingredients thrown in there, then yeah, you can probably make a bet that that's went through various different processes and has been engineered in a way that, yeah, you can make the argument that it's not quote unquote healthy, but can also be quote unquote healthy. That's the confusing thing about it. And this is where like optimization and all this various different things can come in. But here, it's down to you to kind of work out what it is that you're doing. Now, I just realised I'm counting down on this, so that wasn't actually number 2, that's number 3, right? That's the third most Googled fitness question in the UK. The second one is, what exercise burns the most belly fat? Fucking insane that 640,000 people in the UK are searching this. And I actually hate the answer that they've given for this, right? So this is, the answer that's given here is you have 2 options. The first one is light intensity steady state, which can be done on a treadmill, or the Stairmaster using a slow speed, or the other one, which is intervals and sprint, also referred to as high intensity training. Bullshit, right? Straight up bullshit. There is no, let me make this abundantly clear. There is no single exercise that is going to burn belly fat. That it doesn't exist. There's no cream, there's no method, there's no detox. Nothing burns belly fat. There's nothing that isometrically or just pinpoints that area of your body and goes, pop, okay, we're going to utilize the fat that's just there. That being said, some people will lose belly fat than their peers because of their genetics, because of their hormonal profile, because of the exercises that they are doing. As much as I hate to say it, it can be a makeup of a bunch of different things. But if you're looking to if you're looking to burn belly fat, then here's the approach that I would take. We need to be exercising, we need to be moving our body, we need to be lifting weights, and we also need to be consuming less calories than our body needs. So back to the earlier example that I said, let's say your body is, or let's say you don't know, right? Let's start there. I don't know how many calories I'm having. Track the amount of food that you're eating for a 7-day period and then divide it by the number, or add it up and divide it by 7. So Monday it's 2,000, Tuesday it's 1,500, Wednesday it's 3,000, whatever it is, total the calories up over a 7-day period, divide it by 7. That is going to be your average number of calories that you would have on a regular basis, take 300 to 500 calories away from that. And this is all generic advice. Sometimes you do more, sometimes you do less, but that's why you'd want to reach out and work with me, and I can help you along with that. Now, by doing that, your body goes into a state of what's called a calorie deficit, and it starts adapting to that process by utilizing the body fat that you have. So the fat in your arms, the fat in your shoulders, the fat in your belly, the fat in your legs. It doesn't really pick where it's using that. It's just genetically taking fat storage from all areas of your body. Some people, it will come from your belly fat. Some other people, it will come from your leg fat. And typically in guys, like ours comes from our belly fat. We're a bit fortunate. For women, it kind of comes from their legs. The last area it comes from their arms and more so their upper body. The last part that they see is their waist and their butt. So they're like the main strategy, or that's the main components that make up helping your body lose fat, and over time you will see your belly fat reduce. You just can't pinpoint it. So all the creams, all the fucking exercises that you see, all the ab routines, it's not happening. It's not working that way. Now, where exercises do come into play is, like I said on the previous point, if you want to get a six-pack, then training that muscle to be larger, that six-pack will show through at higher body fat percentage. So going back to that question, it's the same approach on what you would do with that. Now, you can't do both at the same time. You have to kind of pick and choose. You can't eat in a calorie deficit and also build muscle or have enough nutrients in your body to be able to fuel that session or to be able to fuel that growth. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So ignore the genetic advice that's out there on Google and listen to that one. And if you've got a friend asking that, send them this episode. It would help me out massively. Now, if you are enjoying today's episode, one thing I really need you to do, please, if you haven't already, is subscribe on YouTube. Head over to YouTube at Bulletproof Mindset. You'll see me pop up. I'm trying to get 1,000 followers. I'm nearly there. If you can subscribe on YouTube and just put a wee like on the video if you're watching there as well. And if you haven't already and you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please consider leaving a little 5-star rating. Again, this is going to help the show up massively. I'm looking to get over 200. I think I'm at 165 just now. So if you're enjoying the episode, that is the best way you can support me. And if you've already done that, look, I love you. Thank you very much. If you want to show more support, you can share this episode on your story. That would mean the world to me. Don't forget to tag. Okay, drum roll. Don't know if you can hear that, but I don't know why I tried to make the noise with my mouth as well, as if I'm a ventriloquist or a beatboxer. But the most Googled fitness question in the UK with 1.3 million searches every single month is, what is the best way to lose weight? So a ton of different people looking for an answer on this topic. Now, it's quite sad, if I'm being honest, like so many people are looking for the answer to this, and there's so many different ways to answer this. But that's why I truly believe as a podcaster, as a fitness professional, as the coach in the space that really wants to help make a huge impact on people's health and fitness, I wish we could divert this from being what is the best way to lose weight to what is the best way to build muscle. I genuinely think, see that little mindset shift, that will make a massive difference in a stronger, healthier and fitter population for our future, for our families, for our friends, for our kids. And I'm definitely going to be at the forefront of trying to fight that message and change that message. But how do we answer this? How has Google answered this? First of all, the best way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit while exercising regularly, but being in a calorie deficit is essential. This involves eating fewer calories than your body needs to maintain its current weight, which can cause the utilization of stored fat for energy and eventually resulting in weight loss. In simple, Google has answered the question. How you go about it is going to be the difference between you being successful with it or not successful. And successful mean that you have managed to lose the weight and also keep it off. Now, I definitely have answered this question on answering the top 10 here. So I won't do it to death, but ultimately Google is correct here. The best way you can do it is strength training a couple of times a week, moving your body every day and standing up on every hour. Eating 80% of the time whole foods or less or minimal processed foods is a good strategy. And along with that, sleep well, drink plenty of water. Yeah, they are the key components of having a healthy approach to weight loss, but more importantly, losing fat, because that's really what everyone wants to do here. The less muscle we have, the weaker we are, the less energy we have, the less confident we are, the more skinny fat we are, and they are all things that people don't want. So that's why the focus has to be on building muscle, and not building muscle so you look big and bodybuilder-esque and jacked like me, but so you can look healthy, you can look good, you can look, when you look, you see those people that you look at and you're like, man, they look strong, they look great. That's muscle, right? That's the way you need to look at muscle. It ain't the fucking extreme bodybuilders. It ain't them. It's someone that you know, you can think of them right now, that you have maybe idolized their physique and you went, man, they look good. Like, they look strong, they look healthy. Imagine getting compliments like that. I love it when my clients come to me and they're like, hey, I just got a compliment saying, here, what diet am I doing? And I go, I'm not doing a diet. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm lifting weights. And they're like, you look really healthy. It's like, wow, what the fuck? What a great compliment to receive. Right. Longest solo episode to date, I think. Thank you for tuning in. What's other questions you may have for me? You know where to find me, on Instagram at Coach Crossar. Yeah, this episode was quite fun. There was a bunch of other questions that I found on different blog posts and things like that. And actually, see, getting to the end of it, I think I might have fucked up the number of monthly searches. I don't think it was, like, for example, 1.4 million. I think it was 140,000. And I think I was right at the start, where I started on 5,000 and then it went to 10,000. Then it went to 100. It went to 12,000, 15,000. So I think I might have balls that up. But anyway, you get the point. These are the most common questions that are asked on Google around fitness, and hopefully you have a better idea on it. You know, you have people in your circle just now that want to be fitter, want to be healthier, want to be stronger, and they need a bit of guidance, they need a bit of support and inspiration, so send them this episode. And as always, to you regular listeners, thank you for choosing this as a podcast that you consistently regular to. It means the world to me. I hope I have given you a bit of inspiration. I hope I've answered a few questions, and hopefully you've maybe cracked a little smile at today's episode. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next episode.